Welcome to the desert of the real.
I want to walk the dog backwards, so to speak, in regards to this. I want to deal with Africa last. What's problematic?
Right.
What's problematic with, let's say, calling ourselves Hebrew Israelites?
Well, I'm laughing in a sense because in February I will be doing in Houston, Texas, a lecture titled "Our Lineage: Egypt, the Bible, Ifa, and the African American: Linguistic and Cultural Connections That Bind Us All." That's the name of the lecture.
Right.
And what I'm essentially going to be arguing is that while there are certain principles that are Africans in which the Hebrews adopted, the totality of Hebrews are not black people. And there's ways that we can prove this, and I know, and I'm going to say this beforehand. I used to be a Hebrew Israelite. I used to be a part of the Israeli Church of Universal Practical Knowledge. I was in it from age 16 to 21. I'm 30 now. And so basically I already know where they're going to go with all, as far as, giving me color scriptures, Deuteronomy, or Song of Solomon, I am black but calmly. But actually the Song of Solomon helps to disprove their case.
Right.
Because the Queen of Sheba is talking about, and she says, I am black, but I am black and comely. Do not look upon me because I am black, as the tense of Kedar. And Kedar is a black Arab group that lived or existed in between Palestine and Egypt. So, the question is, why would she have to mention her blackness, and why would she have to defend her blackness if the Israelites and Solomon were black?
Right.
Himself. That doesn't make any sense. Don't look at me because do not look down upon me because I am black. And there's other reasons for why, this is going to be problematic, in which I will, get down into the lecture. But essentially, yes, there were some black Hebrew Israelites. But this, the story itself makes it clear this was a mixed multitude. And what seems to have happened as the European part of the multitude began to gain leadership. And these were the ruling class, of the Hebrew Israelites, which caused a whole bunch of dissension and things of this nature. But that's a totally different, topic. And this is why, that's one reason why I find it problematic. Two, I find it problematic because you are not in the same cultural mindset that, the ancient Hebrews were in. And personally, I'm not quite sure I want to go back, to that particular mindset, and that can be argued, Mm-hmm. So one of the things that I want to try to avoid is just this type of argument. Were we Hebrews? Yeah, we were Hebrews. We were Yoruba people too. We were Mbochi people. We were the Egyptians. We were the Senegalese people. But now we have meshed into a singular group. Even though we come from various different backgrounds. And this is why, if you ever talk to Professor Smalls, he'll argue with you and say that African Americans are really the only true Africans, in existence, because we represent the largest gene pool from the continent of Africa itself. Mm-hmm. And one of the things that I argue in the book is that as far as naming ourselves just Africans, what's problematic is because the Africans themselves have not come together and to become Africans themselves. And as part of, in defense of that, I cite or I invoke the book by Sheikh Anta Diop, Black Africa, A Case for Economic and Federated State. And, you know, all of the books are talking about Africa needs to come together and create this united culture so they can move forward in uniting the states and the federations. The problem is that, you know, we have a different mindset here in the United States because they lumped us all together. We were black, we were Negroes, we were colored. So there was no separation based upon ethnic groups here in the United States. So we have a different mentality than Africans do because they're still thinking I'm Igbo, I'm Zulu, you know, I'm Xhosa, you know, and if anybody has been keeping up with things that's going on in Ethiopia, you know, there's you know, the Amhara Habashi people, you know, against the Oromo people. You know, it's still, and I hate to use this term tribalism, you know, but there's still these ethnic differences because they don't see each other as black. You know, what's more important to them is the culture and their particular blood lineage, you know, versus us, you know, who all of that has been erased for us. You know, the only thing that we can identify with is our skin color. So that's what unites us here, our skin color, and then, of course, the shared oppression and experiences here in the United States. So, you know, until Africa comes together and has their own act of kuja chakalia and self-determination, and they define a large culture for themselves and a reason for doing so, personally, I find it problematic to unite under that term.
Okay. Now, what about the term Moor? Why is that a problem?
To me, it is problematic. I've asked, and I'm going to say this from the get-go, that I don't know too much about the Moors' arguments. I really don't discuss too much Moorish history. Mm-hmm. But when I asked an individual, I've asked several individuals, what the name Moor means, and it simply means, at least according to them, this is what they told me, that it has to do with seafaring, you know, people who are navigators of the sea. It's problematic for me because, one, black people don't own any boats today, and we don't go anywhere and seafar anywhere. So, you know, we're adopting a name that has no relevance to us, you know, which may have had relevance to only a small segment of individuals who actually built ships and sailed around the world, you know. And some people will try to say that the word Moor means black, and it does not. You know, it's just been associated with blacks from at least the history in which I've read.
So
it's like, you know,
the etymological meaning behind Moor has to do with navigation, or is this just what?
That's what they told me. Yeah. So it has there's no connotation that the word itself means black or anything other than that. So, you know, before I had my own critiques, I wanted to get it from their perspective. So, you know, these are all of the individuals that, you know, I've asked them personally, what does Moor mean? And they said a navigator. Mm-hmm. So, you know, once again, I don't deal too much with Moorish history, so there'll probably be some other Moors who can probably correct me, you know, and point me to information in which, you know, may be an alternative, but I can only go on my experience as far as this is concerned, and that's what they told me.